What is going on, guys? It is your boy Player X here with the Semi Limited Podcast. We have just been having some time here, I can guarantee you that. Just want to thank you guys, as usual, for tuning back in after these last couple weeks and listening for another episode of the Semi Limited Podcast. I know that we have not been here for the last like 2 or 3 weeks. Unfortunately, some of you guys don't know, I did post that I did have a minor injury because I thought I sprained a muscle in my arm. Turns out I actually broke my arm. So unfortunately, because I broke my arm and it's been healing ever since, I just wanted it to heal right. I have to keep it in a certain position and shit like that. So I just it couldn't upload, I couldn't record and all that stuff. But that is why we are back now. This week, right back in the saddle as I try to overcome this dumb pain and get you guys all the information you guys needed. I've had a whole bunch of texts and messages and comments and stuff about when we're coming back, and boy, it's today. Let me tell you that. And on today's episode, we will be joined by a returning guest that you guys are all familiar with, as well as a new guest that you might not be so familiar with, as we jump into some of the moves on the secondary market after Rarity Collection. And then we were talking about some future reprints coming ahead of us, as well as also some of the new policy letters that Konami decided to drop themselves was earlier last week. But before we get into all of that, let's get into these sponsored plugins. As you guys know, please go down to that link tree link down below in the description box. You can follow all of our social sites there by clicking on that link, and a tab pops up. You can click on any of the social sites that you guys have. You can follow, subscribe, doesn't really matter, comment, like, whatever it is. Just know that we do giveaways on all of these social sites, and we will continue to do more giveaways until the end of the year and thus forward. And when we hit 50 followers on TikTok, 100 followers on Twitter or X, as what you guys want to call it, or 200 followers or subscribers on Instagram, YouTube, and Discord. So be sure to be a part of all of those social sites, so that way you guys can know when the giveaways are coming and when to be a part of them. Also, shout out to Unplugged Gaming in Manlius, New York for sponsoring the podcast, usually hosting most of our giveaways. Be sure to join their Discord server in the description box below to be a part of their TCG communities. No matter what cardboard game you're playing, you can be sure to join their Discord and be a part of all the TCGs that they have available to you guys, whether it be Lorcana, Magic, which we were just talking about a little bit ago. Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't really matter what it is. If you are in a cardboard game, they have it for you. So be sure to go join their Discord, communicate with somebody, get a trade in, maybe talk to somebody, and then if you ever do wind up going in store, be sure to tell them that the boys over at the Semi Limited Podcast sent you, and they'll definitely be sure to hook you up. Also, last but not least, be sure to catch Brad, aka Mr. Perfect, live streaming on Twitch every Saturday night at 11 p.m. He has been live streaming the last couple Saturdays. I haven't been talking about it. This was why we haven't been doing the Friday night wrap ups because of my arm, but we will be getting right back to that. He has been continuously streaming on Twitch every Saturday, so his link will be in the link tree down below as well. So you can be sure to catch him doing deck theorying, crafting, maybe some Master Duel, EDO Pro, Dueling Book, whatever you guys want. Be sure to chit chat with him and let him know what you guys want, and he will be accommodating of it. He's a really great player, really entertaining guy. So I love hearing all of the feedback that you guys give me on his streams, and I appreciate it. With that being said, before we dig into today's episode, I'd like to introduce our guest for tonight's recording. One of them is a returning guest, which we've had on the podcast numerous times. I thoroughly enjoy him coming on; it's very informative. And the other is a player that has been behind the scenes for many YouTubers that you see on the YouTube scene for a very long time, including people like Fresh Off the Press. And has just recently started his own page, and I just wanted to bring him on and give him a little bit of time in the limelight. So please give a nice semi-limited welcome to Sage Killa for his first time being on, and also Team Sakurasu for returning with us. Thank you guys.
Hey, appreciate you having me.
Hi.
Hockey, man. I love the boys, man. It's glad
Yeah,
to be
that's
on this
right.
side of the podcast for once.
Yeah, right. It's cool to have you on and actually put a voice to the face that I've seen every once in a while, and
Oh,
also that logo too. I know we interact in a lot of the comment sections of all the Yu-Gi-Oh. I would say streamers that you help and accommodate for, but it's always good to hear from you, and I always love making sure that you guys are all good. So, is there any introductions that you guys have? Any like plugins or shout outs that you guys want to give before we start in today's episode?
well, I want to start off by saying my name's Sage. So I've been doing content since 2016 off and on. I started with Call of Duty Zombies, Black Ops 3 era. So if you guys were around during that time, you might have seen me interacting with some of those YouTubers at that time. Um, took a couple years away from content creation. Then I came back to streaming. I've done Minecraft and Pokemon fan games, and lately I've been on the Whatnot grind, man. I love that app. It's
Oh, you
a
have been, yeah.
really sick app to buy and sell cards and all sorts of other stuff. So I got a show coming up June 1st, 7 p.m. Central for the Whatnot card show. Should be pretty fun. We just had a major show here a couple weeks ago where we sold several high-end cards. It was really fun. But yeah, if you guys want to check out my link tree, that's just at SageKilla. All social platforms except for YouTube are at SageKilla, and YouTube is at SageKillaYGO.
Well, shout outs to me, I guess. Always keeping it fresh. But hey, my name's Team Sakura, so I'm pretty sure you guys know who I am. I do have been doing Yu-Gi-Oh content for about seriously since 2020, a little bit on, a little bit off. I mostly do market watches. However, I do Yu-Gi-Oh news videos, predictions, ban list reactions. I love getting top deck profiles to show on my channel as well, which I like to show on and off because I love it when people hear from the players' mouths what happened and why they played certain cards. And yeah, that's about it. I think I've spoken for myself throughout the years.
No, 100%, and I agree. Like your channel has definitely shown itself as far as content as and growth, especially in these last year and a half alone. I mean, I've been watching for a lot longer than that, but I definitely can see the growth, the change, the new intros now on the channel, like the new thumbnails and stuff. So yeah, definitely
Yeah.
love to see the growth that you guys have had, and it 100% speaks for itself. But now that we got that all out of the way, guys, and now what everyone's introduced, we've all had our ha-has. Let's get into the nitty gritty. Topping this episode off, starting with the crazy secondary market shifts that have been occurring since the introduction of Rarity Collection 2 that finally hit the market last Friday. If you guys are listening to it the day of recording. Shout outs really quick to everyone who went to Comic Zone on Sunday in Syracuse, New York, and participated in the Rarity Collection 2 little mat tournament that they had. There was one free mat that was given away, and it was a rigged competition for Jake Curtis, who won the giveaway mat. And then we had a 32-man, 5-round, cut the top 8 tournament, which was I would say a battlefield of sweaty people like Eric Christensen, Brendan Agnon, Austin when the spa was up there. So a lot of good people playing, and then we had a winner of Devon Smith who finally went through all of those 2 hours after the store closed. The owner was eventually just begging them to leave. They eventually played it down to Devon Smith winning the mat and overall prize support. So congratulations to him. But Rarity Collection 2 finally hitting the market was shaking things up. Guys, do you think that there are any notable spikes that you've seen in cards from Rarity Collection 2 since day one, like from the pre-sale prices or even from the volume alone that people are just buying them at?
Any of the new Platinum Secrets. The community is going feral for the new Platinum Secrets. A lot of those have been either nearly bought out or completely bought out for your staples, your hand traps, and even though there's not, I'd say, as good of a lineup as Rarity Collection 1, there still is significant demand. It's been kind of wild to see. Like, I think it was IP Plat Secret got up to $40, and I think it's showing like
Hey,
35
yo.
right now. Like for a Plat Secret, insane.
It was 12 on Friday too. Just that.
Right?
Yeah. There were a lot of like crazy things that have gone up since then too, you know?
I'm waiting for the super rares to see what super rares end up being the droplet, the ash, the pot of prosperity that we had in Rarity Collection 1. Right now, there's not a ton of supers that are worth, really anything.
Yeah, I think the
Crossouts
only
worth a few
current ones right
bucks.
now are crossout and access code are like $2 each. Everything else underneath
Yep,
that is it's less than a dollar, I want to say.
right. It's just a matter of time.
What about you,
Yeah,
Saki? Anything that you saw?
So for me, I actually will say it's the platinum secret rares. I do find it funny, however, because I actually am a fan of the old platinums. Don't get me wrong, these are great actually, but I actually liked Rarity Collection's one platinum rare. Just because it was simple doesn't mean it's bad. But I
No, I
know I'm
agree.
in the minority there. What I want to say for the plat secrets is what I find really funny is that players are looking at it and they're like, why would I spend $30 on a card because it has a 25th stamp when I could spend $3 to $5 on the exact same card, exact same look, but the name looks a little different and I find it cooler and it doesn't have the 25th stamp. So I feel like a lot of people aren't going for these quarter centuries that a lot of them have been hugging 18 to 20 from what I've noticed. When I went over them today, that it seems like a lot of them are like, oh, it's going to be at least $18 and not go down. It was something very odd that I kind of noticed. While as the platinum secrets have been moving up and up, and your box, unlike Rarity Collection 1, where let's say you open it up a week after release, it all depends on your quarter centuries. Now it all kind of depends on your plats as well. Your plats can rack up more money than the quarter centuries depending on what you pull. And I kind of like that in a way because it's showing Konami that, hey, this little 25th, we don't care about that much. Obviously, collectors will and people like that, but some people just want the Starlight Rare for the look of the Starlight Rare. Like, let's call
Yeah.
it a buck. That's what it is. I know it's called Platinum Secret Rare, but the fact that we had a Starlight, Quarter Century, and then Platinum, and they're basically all the same thing. They're basically almost the exact same rarity, but a little bit different. The player base is just like, we're just gonna get whatever's nice. That's the cheapest thing. So it kind of makes me wonder if Konami is going to take away or change platinums to make them less desirable in the future, seeing how they did too good of a job with it.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's really interesting to see that the platinum rares are kind of going up just because of, to me personally, I don't really like, and I said this openly about Rarity Collection 1, that those alternate high, like, rarity, whatever you want to call them, cards, they just all look like ass. Like, the platinum ultimate rares look like gold rares but with black fucking, lining, or like a black kind of epoxy over it, and so it just felt like more like a gold rare than an ultimate rare. The CRs are only CRs on the borders, and then the rest of the card looks like a DT. So it's like it didn't know if it wanted to be a DT or not. And then I just didn't like it. The QCRs, even in this set, don't really look like they pop too much. Like, they look like they're almost Europrint in the way that they're kind of darkened and almost like faded in a way. I never really liked these alternate arts. Like, if anything, the secrets were always very nice. The secret foiling was really nice. The supers were look clean. Ultras are pretty like clean cut. But I never was one for these higher ones. So to see that the markets for these are going crazy, because like I remember Planet or Pressured Planet Rice Off was like $9 for the QCR, and if anything spiked, it spiked maybe like $4 or $5, just like 13, $14 now. And that's the only one I've saw like really go up as far as QCR. But you guys are right. It seems odd to me that they're very, very specifically targeting and sniping a lot of these platinum secret rares within the set. Do you like or Sage? Do you think that you have an input as to why that this really would happen all of a sudden?
Oh, I think it's just demand. People are really with Rarity Collection. They really had just a ton of accessible reprints. I'm looking at Race Off now, and it looks like the quarter century is kind of low. 17 listings,
Yeah.
$13. But yeah, I'm really still surprised to see the platinum secret demand compared to everything else.
Yeah,
So
still like the lower end ones, like they're still coming down. Like Skill Drain is at like what, 24 listings right now. Even Ultimate Slayer went from like I think $7 or $8 to now being like $12. Like, people are definitely sniping their staple QCRs, but I was just super curious as to why like Platinum Secret, because like the Platinum Secret to me just looks like foil bleed, like the old school foil bleeds. If you ever look at like the first 10 sets, the OG sets, and you get like the foil bleed that kind of seeps through the rest of the card, or it kind of makes like the rest of the card kind of pop or shimmer. It looks like that, but like intended, and I don't know why people are just going so crazy for it. It just makes no sense to me. I don't see the the attraction to it.
Shiny
because of the pop to me.
cardboard equals demand. I guess that's probably the simplest way to put it. The way I see it is Rarity Collection 1 Plat Secrets were too subtle to take the same slot as a QCR. Like, you would be happy if you pulled a QCR, but in Rarity Collection 1, half the time you wouldn't even be able to tell if it was a Plat Secret or a regular secret because you'd have to look at the name or the borders. But now it's super
True.
obvious if you get the Plat Secret. And I think more people are just excited to pull anything more than a secret out of the secret slot. And some people have been comparing the Plat Secret to the Extra Secret from the OCG, and I know that's a pretty popular rarity among folks out here.
Yeah, for sure. I know I do agree with that. And I was not a fan of that whatever enhanced secret rare that they had back there. That basically was like a shatter foil for secret foiling. That was another one that was like a hit or miss. Saki, did you even like any of those? Was there
So,
like an alternative printing that you actually liked?
believe it or not, I think this is a big thing when you look at Rarity Collection 2 and its prices, is a lot of people are kind of fatigued from all these high rarities. You guys have to remember that Rarity Collection 1 dropped in October. All right, it has not been a year since Rarity Collection dropped. It's been 7 months, right? People were kind of tired of it. I mean, people want the Plat Secrets because they're like, oh, it's a lot cheaper, it looks nicer. But besides that, this is just Rarity Collection 1, but not as good. You know, a lot of people have been less hyped over it. A lot of people, they didn't do what they did with Rarity Collection 1, where, for example, CR Dark Law was selling for $12 to $15 for a day or two, right? And now we look at the CRs here, right? Like Crossout, right? People are gonna be like, "Oh man, it's gonna be worth so much money." It's worth $4 or $5 when I checked it for a
Yeah.
CR Crossout. Which, granted, the CR does not look as good as the deck building CRs. I understand that, but still, $4 or $5. A lot of people are kind of looking at this like they're looking at Rarity Collection 1. They're like, "No, we're not gonna buy X cards at inflated prices." And Plat Secret Rares were basically quarter centuries, but extremely cheap. It's like good bootleg, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Like good bootleg, people can't tell, but you could still play it kind of thing, even though obviously you could play any card from Rarity Collection too. I will also say very quickly, I'm shocked there was not that many production quality issues, seeing how they bum rushed this set in 7 months.
Yeah.
And Konami can't print a set that it has decent quality control to save their life, but blind
Not
squirrel
only
finds a
that
nut
too,
twice a day.
I do agree with you where he says like the fatigue is kind of there. Like we haven't had Ready Collection 1 in circulation for at least a year. Like you're right, it has been 7 months since, and now I feel like personally, maybe this is just my thought process or whatever like that in the moment, but it feels like they took their time knowing that they wanted to input Rarity Collection to TCG. That's why it was kind of like a banger set. They didn't realize or didn't account for how popular it was going to be. And then as soon as it took off, they immediately went to how do we money grab the next set? And then this is what we've gotten. Because not only did they quote unquote include more cards, because I guess they kind of did, but they also jacked up the price and like made it so that way you're guaranteed these shiny cards, but because you're guaranteed these shiny cards, like the supply and demand is now weird for them, and like now we don't even have a card that's over $100. You know what I'm saying? Like we have a card that's like what $70, $80 tops. So
Yeah, that's like
Yeah.
70, and it's like one card. I think it's the IP, if I'm
yeah, it
correct.
might be IP or like is Apple one or the other.
IP and Apple were
Yeah,
top
Echo,
for
Yeah,
a
they're
IP and
top
Apple
while.
are
two.
tied. Yeah, yeah. So, but either way, like that's crazy to me. Like when you had literally, I could impermanence, Ash Blossom, all of those QCRs were going for over $100 in Rarity Collection 1 because it was not only like I would say rare to pull, but like it was also a card that was way more in demand and wanting than something like I would say what is this the fucking Soul and Luna whatever the
Yeah,
fuck it is,
Soul
like all
and
these other
Luna.
cards. Yeah, whatever the fuck cards that they put in here, like some of these are cool staples that people will want, but like a lot, the card choice was just bad. Like I feel like they really rushed this shit through and just said, "All right, well, Rarity Collection One was so good, let's find out how we can make a second one, and we'll just add another rarity in there that they won't even know the difference. Oh, and you can crank up the price because we're gonna add one more piece of cardboard in there. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy that it's $10 a pack. $10.
Yeah,
It's just insane to me.
I actually told my audience when we had the pre-sales, I said, "You're spending more than Rarity Collection 1 money on Rarity Collection 2." We all know Rarity Collection 2 is not gonna be as good as Rarity Collection 1. I think even casuals understood that, right? I would be shocked if it was, like, anywhere close to the same plane. So, when people were spending 1250, 1300, closer to 1400 for a case, I was like, go get yourself a case of Rarity Collection 2 for like a grand or 1100 and pool stable value with something you could do with right now and not have to worry about pre-sale prices. And I'm going to end this off by saying at this point, if boxes are say 105 to 115, 120, I would just go spend that on Rarity Collection 1 and just call it a day.
This
Like
is
it's like that.
definitely
It's
a
more like
single set.
140, 160. You know?
Yep.
What
Yep,
were you saying,
definitely
Osage?
definitely a single set. Like honestly, the set list isn't too awful on Rarity Collection 2, but it just doesn't reach the quality that Rarity Collection 1 had. I really feel like the big duds for Rarity Collection 2 are Blue Eyes Spirit. Why did Blue Eyes get 4 cards in Rarity Collection 2, man? But Heroes and Dinos, they didn't get anything? Like that's just shocking to me.
It's because of
Um
the structure deck, OCG
yeah,
structure
that new
deck.
one that the OCG just announced. Yeah, it's
It's really dumb.
so dumb, man. And then they reprinted Pep when it just got a reprint in the tins. They reprinted Exo Sister Pax when it just got a reprint in the tins. We only
Tins,
needed the
yeah.
Magnifica reprint. Like, just give us that. Don't take up another slot with Pax. Soul and Luna, I didn't even know that card existed until Influencer openings for Rarity Collection 2 came out. I'll be honest, man, I didn't know
No,
what
no,
that card did.
I had that card.
Oh man. Thought it was a fake card they just tossed in there just to.
It definitely just seemed like, yeah, exactly. It just seemed rushed to me. Like, speaking of which, are there any cards outside of Rarity Collection 2 that you think people should have or should have been in Rarity Collection 2? Like, I know we were talking about things that should have been in there, like Flame Banshee. I think that Internal Flame Banshee should have been in there. Either Fenrir, Theosis, or Rise Heart should be in there if you're gonna reprint the planets, because definitely access to Fenrir beyond a prismatic secret that was short printed in a Megaton, an ultimate rare that was an ultimate rare to pull in an OTS pack, or the original OG Ultra from a set that's a year and a half old. There's no like reasonable access to Fenrir. And then even cards I think like Bonfire could have gotten reprinted a little bit ahead of time, because like those are side sets that if they aren't going to include them in the Megaton, when the fuck are we going to get them besides sets like this? You could have got it in any different rarity. Like I don't know, those are just cards I think that were really good that missed their mark in Rarity Collection 2.
Yeah, Bonfire would be real quick. Didn't that set come out in February?
It did,
Yep.
but it's not like they haven't done that before. Like I remember when Aluber spiked for about 6 months because it was supposed to be the like noted best deck, and then they immediately put it an ultra reprint in a side set.
$140.
Yup, immediately. So like Konami has done shit like that. So I think that Bonfire, if they would have put it in there, I wouldn't have been surprised by it. I'd have been shocked that they're honestly giving us access to something like that, because the hype for it died down a little bit, even though it probably still is the best deck in the format. But to have access to it, like something like a Rarity Collection status, I think that would have been cool.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Sage?
Oh, my mic was still muted. I really, really wanted Upstart Goblin to be in Rarity Collection 2. I was really thinking with them putting
Yeah,
it
that
to
was in your
3.
prediction video, I think.
Yeah, I was really wanting them to bring Upstart Goblin in, and it only has 3 foil prints, one being Turbo Pack, one being Legendary Collection Yugi's World, and the other being Secret Slayers, but it has a ton of commons that are $2 each. So this would have been a good time to get more foil prints of that out into the market. Nuke the price of the commons, aside from like first at MRL. and just kind of get that more accessible to people. Because, you know, you got to run 3 Upstart in every deck. You can't have that thing unlimited, otherwise everyone's going to play 3 of it.
I agree.
I also really wanted to see the Dragon Rulers. There was a lot of speculation when the product first got announced
That's a good
that
one.
they used Waterfall in the product listing just out of nowhere. So people are like, okay, they're unbanning Title, the last Dragon Ruler we had left to unban at the time. And then they're going to reprint all the Dragon Rulers in Rarity Collection too. And we didn't see any of them. Like, none of the Dragon Rulers have gotten reprints yet. So the Megaton Secrets are still high rarity. So
Crazy.
that was a little disappointing. I would have liked to see really anything over Sol and Luna, man. like, give me anything.
Yeah,
Thought of
that's
Avarice.
crazy.
Avarice would have been really cool for legacy formats.
I actually think that if they just took out Sol Luna and didn't even replace it, it would be beneficiary to the set.
Right, at least one of my slots ain't being taken up by bulk.
That
Not really.
a bulk Starlight. I think that Starlight or that QCR is going for like $1.50. I swear to God.
Literally.
Matter of fact,
I
I'm
saw
going to look
people.
it up right now. Editing done cheap. Lowest
There-
one right now. Sol and Luna, baby. $1.03. Let's go. You better go get those QCRs now. And I talk about real stonks.
Oh, it's
I
only a
think I'd
matter of
rather
time
just give
before
$1 to
someone.
the homeless at that point, and I'm
Yeah, you
good.
might as well. Just give them to Sol and Luna.
Only a matter of time before some crypto bro tries to buy out Sol and Luna and spike the price of it just to offload theirs.
next meta card.
Right, like somebody bought 10 a couple days ago for $195 each. Somebody bought 26 for $194 each.
Shit,
Like
they could have got me. I'm waiting for that hype. I'm gonna buy me like
41
25
for a
copies
buck
and sit on them.
20. Holy hell! Somebody
What
really
about you,
believes
son?
in Sol and Luna, man.
Yeah, honestly, I was
I'm
about
gonna
to
play
say like
some sub terrors or some ghost trick.
sub terror, ghost tricks.
I mean, if you
Yeah,
have to
all that
mention
shit.
Ghost
It's
Trick,
getting some.
that's already game at that point.
Yeah, if you have to say ghost trick in the name, I'd like, all right, yeah, I've won this game. This is a buy. What about you, Saki? Do you think that anything else missed this printing in RC2 that could have been in there?
So I actually predicted more of this list than I actually thought looking back on it. I'll get a few obvious ones out of the way before I give you guys a hit that you guys wouldn't expect but would make sense. First one's Thrust. I just thought it would match talents, but it would be better because Thrust didn't have a quarter century or Starlight. Which, if you guys don't know, I actually don't like it when Konami reprints Starlights as quarter centuries or quarter centuries as quarter centuries, vice versa. I don't want reprints in the exact same rarity when it comes to higher tier rarities. If you guys didn't know about that. Thrust would have been great. It would have been matching talents. I thought it was obvious. And it's really shocking that looking back on my predictions list, this was something that I got wrong. Like, I would have never believed it. I bet money on it, honestly, if I had to. The second thing I have here is what's it called? Herald of Orange Light, actually. I thought Herald of Orange Light actually was. This is the shocking one, by the way, because it's a hand trap that's been around for a few years, and it has been quite popular to the point where it's actually reinvented Edison decks. Now we have something called Christia Swarm, which, if you guys didn't know, Lightstorm was one of the best decks there. But if they knew how good Herald of the Orange Light was, and Christia Swarm was invented, that would have been one of the best decks in that format. Lightstorm wouldn't have been the best way to play it, in my honest opinion. And it seems like a lot of Edison players are leaning more towards Christia Swarm. That's just an example of the card. And then we've seen it with Drytron. We've seen it with basically a lot of decks over the years as a very unique hand trap, including Medolce. And I think that it would have been probably a perfect card for this collection. Honestly, I think players would really like it. It would be a nice card to have access to. That's a hand trap. The third one, and I'm just gonna make this really quick, as Trident Dragon. I mean, I thought we would have a reprint any time here because Konami released an archetype based off a 14, 15-year-old card with two prints. One of them being a reprint that doesn't even really count because it's Legendary Collection 5Ds. If you guys don't know anything about that set was bought out very quickly, right? They release an archetype around this deck, and they don't reprint the card. I thought they would bum rush it for an OTS comment or bum rush it in Rarity Collection 2. And it turns out they want, even though they already released it, they want players to wait, what, 5 months to get an
Yeah, for the
actual
Mega
physical
Tins is when
version?
it got announced. Yep.
Absolutely insane. I thought they'd give Sky Striker cards just because Sky Striker is extremely popular, and they throw us some type of, bone. Snatch Steal would have been a really good one as well, actually.
That's a
Uh,
really good one. I'd have liked that one. A Snatch Steal in every rarity helped Edison players, Gold players, or maybe it wasn't an Edison. I don't remember. The Gold players at very least. Modern format like that'd be dope. I like that one. That's a good pick.
yeah, and then this one was kind of copium because I thought to myself, well, they reprinted Compulse, and if you guys don't know, back in like earlier Zexal format, we had this thing kind of called the Big Three. It was Compulse, Boundless, Torrential, right? All limited to one. People ran them. They were just good traps, right? And I thought to myself, well, they might put Torrential or Bottomless here. Hopefully not Torrential because it already has a CR. That would be dumb. But they would put Bottomless. And I actually would have really liked a CR Bottomless. I would have actually attempted running it, you know, had some around because that would be really cool. And they didn't give us any of those. And then everything, the only other prediction I think that I got wrong, and it's a 50-50, was I did this before we got the ban list, and that was Link Karibo. I said, look, either they're gonna ban this card because they don't want to hit Snake Eye, right? And this card actually hurts Snake Eye a decent amount, and it's existed for a long time. So this is one of the cards that Konami would actually hit to hurt Snake Eye. Or if they don't ban this, which people called me crazy for thinking that card could be banned, they're gonna make it in 25th. So when I saw it banned, I was like, oh well, that's not happening.
No, no, for sure. Once I saw that hit the link Rebo, I was like, well, this fucking jump promo's dead. This comment's dead. This fucking other three other ultra printings it has is dead. Like, there's no reason. I mean, if you have them, keep them. I don't say sell them off, but like it may come back. It's like one of those cards where it's only broken because of the time period it's being abused in. But you never know. Personally,
Yeah.
speaking of banned cards, do you think that there are any cards that are notable that might get hit now after being reprinted in something like Rarity Collection 2? In Rarity Collection 1, we had cards like Appaloosa. Sorry, not Appaloosa. We had cards like Baron the Floor and Savage Dragon all be reprinted, and then shortly thereafter, they were all banned. So, do you think cards like Apollo in this set or Omega in this set, since it's now being abused in Snake Eye and stuff like that, could be hit after just now being reprinted?
People really want to see the Appaloosa ban. I feel like Apple's kind of fine. It's a Link 4. Sure, it's a monster negate, but I feel like it's not as awful as people really think it is. Sure, there are a ton of decks that can shit out material to go into Appo, but I think that's just a problem with modern Yu-Gi-Oh! But I feel like you really need to have at least a couple of those monster negates there just to have some sort of interaction. Because if you don't draw hand traps or any aren't able to make any other form of interaction, it just kind of really sucks watching your opponent play solitaire.
For me personally, I'm looking at this now. Worst case scenario, right? And this would be a very bad decision on Konami's part, even though I actually don't like this card. Is Droll? I definitely don't think I. If they hit Droll because they've reprinted it like crazy just to ban it, I would be extremely angry. Just because Droll is a card that is, if Droll is used, is a necessary card for the format. It means that there's something wrong with the
It's a
format.
toxic format. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah. I know what
it
you're getting at.
it's a card that is a lesser evil, but it doesn't work with certain, decks, if that makes sense. So I would hate if they banned Droll because of that. Oppo and IP, I think IP is too popular. I think they're just gonna stick with Oppo personally and kind of call it a day. But I think we have till late 2024 or early 2025 for it. What else here should okay. This is my bias. I'm gonna be like 99% wrong. This is kind of like a bullshit take that I'm about to say. But like every single time I see Dragoon hit the field, I just get pissed off. Like I genuinely like that card is so specific to get like to actually out that it's not even funny. I genuinely hate it. So, like, I would not mind if for some reason they hit Dragoon. They're not going to hit Dragoon. It's just there are Brad builds that have played Dragoon that have seen success even in this format. And it kind of makes me wonder, like, huh. Oh, here's what I see banned. Dweller, right? I'm Copium aside, because Dragoon's not getting banned, actually. Even I don't believe it. I said it. Dweller, people have been complaining about that card for a very long time, especially in tier format. That's a big one. Um, they may eventually hit Emergency Teleport. I always feel like that card is busted. That's just my opinion.
There's two. Skill Drain and Anti-Spell, I
I was
feel it's
about to
just a
say
matter of
Skill
time.
Drain.
Like, Skill Drain hasn't been hit yet, Anti-Spell's at 1. It's just a matter of time. I think they're going to summon Limit Treatment, Skill Drain, and just ban it on the next list. It really seems like they're trying to pivot away from the Continuous Trap Floodgates and move more toward the Monster Floodgates, with Protoss and Colossus being back. Maybe they deem them as healthier for the game.
Easier to deal with, yeah.
Yeah, because it's not like you can link away your Colossus and still have that floodgate effect active. You still have to take up one whole monster slot with that just to keep the effect on field instead of just tossing it in back row and calling it a day. So it's just a matter of time, I feel. And as a stun enjoyer myself, it's kind of disappointing. I really wanted to see Rivalry in this set too. Because Rivalry doesn't have a lot for foil printings at all. Like, most of them are commons. The ones that I run are
It's
the
just got one CR, right?
Yeah, CR, and then it has a super. It's a
Yep.
super from.
And Hidden Summoners, I think.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I just got a playset of that recently, but can only play one. Rest in peace, man. I would play that in my Plunder Patrol deck because they're all fiends, so I'd side that in. It's a fun little tech choice, but now it's useless.
I also think maybe mind control at some point in time, if they deem it unworthy or too powerful, could go back to 2. I also think cross out, if probably no time soon, but if we ever get to a format kind of like how the OCG has theirs, where they have, instead of the big 3, it's the big 9, and you have the 2 cross out, the 1 cross out, the 2 called by the Ash Blossoms and all that shit, just to stop Max C, because it's also in your deck as well. So if we ever get to maybe like something like a tier format and cross outs like super crazy, I could see that one getting hit. But that one also spiked up pretty hard recently, especially the QCR. So maybe it's going to take some time for that. But those are the ones I can probably see, at least on that ban list, or at least on the limited list in some capacity.
And the
And
fun
then the
part
last,
is,
keep you're going. Keep going.
OCG, they have the Big 12 now, because you got to remember that Molchummy, whatever the hell it's
Oh
called.
yeah, they're playing
That
that now.
thing
Yeah,
exists, man. They got 6 Maxis in the format.
they're
Wild.
drawn whatever. they drawn forever.
You guys are talking about the Big 12. All I know is Big Me.
True.
That's it. All right. Real quick, before we move on, no context. Drake or Kendrick?
Ooh.
That is basically
Kendrick
like,
and
okay.
Kendrick.
I'm gonna
win
answer
on that.
first. I have to answer first on this. I'm sorry. I'm gonna
First, I'm
skip the
sorry.
order. There's a better question to ask. Okay, so instead of Drake or Kendrick, you could say, do you actually listen to rap besides on when you turn on the radio or you're at the club, or you actually listen to rap? That's what the real question is, right? Because nobody in their right mind should be choosing Drake. Like,
Yeah, Drake got his
that's
ass
not even an
handed to him.
opinion.
I love Drake, but he got his ass handed to him. Kendrick mopped him up. As soon as you got niggas singing "They Not Like Us," it's over. It's over. They memed your ass out, dog. You're supposed to be the meme lord. Yeah, it's over. So I gotta give it to Kendrick too. All right, but getting back to the Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. Uh, speaking of the reprints of Rarity Collection 2, Konami also announced that their once only EU set of Retro Pack has been confirmed for reprint here in North America. It's set to drop August 23rd, 2024, and the set list reads as followed. So it looks like they were saying that the Retro Pack is going to be the booster set that never was is finally coming to North America. Retro Pack was a collection of vintage cards from the earlier days of the game, made to catch up other countries to the North American card pool. But since it was never released here, these exact cards can be hard to find until now. And unlike any booster set reprints that kicked off our anniversary last July, Retro Pack will be as retro as we can make it. The original card frames and card look, plus the original card names and their text. It's a time capsule from the past, all the way down to the special limited edition labeling on the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. The drop rates for these foil cards have doubled than that of the original version, so it will be twice as easy to pull foil cards. And on the list up front, they have cards like Gate Guardian, Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, Cyber Harpy Lady. What is that? Soul of the Grave, Soul Exchange of the Graveyard, whatever the fuck it is. Scapegoat, Blast Sphere, and Ancient Lamp. So I was not a person to play back then, and I do know what Retro Pack is, especially since that they were only in the EU and you got it was hard as fuck to get them. But do you guys like these the announcement of this reprint? Do you guys think that it's too late? Maybe something that you deem wasn't really needed, or was needed maybe, or something that you just think that Konami is another out of touch cash in attempt?
100% one of the most useless reprint sets that we've ever had. I feel like instead of this being rewaved, they could have done Legendary Collection 5Ds. They could have done Raging Battle. Raging Battle's a big one that I feel really needs a rewave, because if you guys haven't seen the plant deck in Edison with the Phoenician Cluster Amaryllis, that thing's like completely bought out on TCG Player. It's like 10 listings and it's 70-ish, 60, $70 for a near mint copy. It's insane, and that thing's banned in current format, so there's no shot of it getting a reprint outside of a rewave for Raging Battle.
I
Because that's
thought
the
they
only
brought it
set.
back.
No, that thing's still banned. I have a whole playset in the band binder. I got a first ed and 2 unlimbs, and it's just chilling, waiting for waiting to come off the ban list. But unless they decide to take it off the ban list in the near future, that thing doesn't have a shot of getting a reprint.
Oh yeah, it is still banned. You're right. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's insane, man. And that set too had like Trident Dragion. It had Power Tool Dragon Ghost. And the ulti, it had Grave of the Super Ancient Organism. It had so many good cards in the set that are just not getting reprinted. I thought it was really funny that after Rarity Collection 2 influencer reveals dropped, that then Konami was like, hey, Trident Dragion, man, it's not getting reprinted till September, so good luck trying to play the deck, man. We're not giving it Rarity Collection. Yeah, go search your bulk,
better
man.
check that bulk.
We're not giving it
they,
an OTS
they did
super
reprint
nothing.
they did reprint Ancient Organisms in an OTS Super. If it wasn't the last one, it was the one before
OTS
that.
20.
But I do agree
OTS
with you.
20.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, there are sets that deserve it. I personally didn't play old school Yu-Gi-Oh, so I don't really know how primitive or necessary that these cards from Retro Pack are. But I do know that Retro Pack was hard to get a hold of. I remember playing a Harpy Lady deck, and I tried to get a hold of Cyber Harpy Ladies, and it took me fucking forever. It took me like a month and a half to get those cards without having to use TCG Player, because I just refuse to, and it's just so hard to get them, you know? So, what about you, Saki? Do you think that this was another like out of touch Konami cash grab, or like do you think that we really needed Retro Pack in the North America?
Now, everyone knows the answer is yes, but I'll actually go a step forward. I think that was Konami like saying that, yeah, we'll fuck your mom. Like to collectors. I know that's like very direct,
True.
right? But I saw that shit and I legit thought it was fake out of pure cope. And before anyone says, "Oh, is it because you had all these Retro Pack one?" No, I think Retro Pack one's overrated as shit. It's still a collector set, but I think the only thing I've
Yo,
wanted
this
out of there
man.
is maybe Copycat, right? I like and that was just like, or no, Assailant, DD Assailant. That's the only thing I really wanted. Maybe those two, right? So when I saw that, I was sitting here like, so first of all, there is something called too much time has passed, right? Nothing, and I mean nothing in that set is is unaccessible to a casual and budget player, right? Budget players can get anything from that set for pennies, right? And that includes holographics, right? And so I'm wondering to myself, okay, well, it's not for casuals, right? It's not for budget players. It's not for collectors because this would hurt them. Who's this for? And after careful consideration, I've decided that this is either for scalpers, because they're gonna scalp this product, which is funny because it's gonna sit on the damn shelf, or it's just Konami trying to like signal in like a slow way, hey, I know that collectors have been helping with this game and blah blah blah, but we really kind of don't want you anymore. You should probably go. And
They're
that's
just
kind
pushing
of
you straight
how
out the door.
yeah, that's how I saw Retro Pack 1. Like I saw Retro Pack 1 and I literally straight up told my Market Watch audience, if you want to invest into other card games, go ahead. And I'm going to say the exact same thing here because this is just a waste of time. And I don't want to hear no, well, we never got it, and Europe did. Yeah, but it's also been what, 20 fucking years? Like
Amen, man.
20 years? If this was a year, okay. 2 years, okay. 3, 4, 5? Huh. Okay, sure. 20 years.
And it's
I'm
not like
so
they're like there's, as you said, literally 0 cards that needed the reprint from RetroPack. Everything else is very accessible. So it's just like and they're not doing like updated text or anything too, and it's not like they're even really I haven't really heard of a lot of people playing GOAT format anymore. It's mainly everyone switched to Edison.
actually,
So
yeah, Gale format's been quite hated in the last year, but I want to continue one thing about Retro Pack, right? If you actually, and this might sound a little extreme, right? But let's say you went to a locals, right? 20, 25 people, right? You know, decent, pretty good local turnout, right? And you put a gun to every one of their heads, right? And said, name 3 cards from Retro Pack 1 or 3 French Montagna songs that aren't a feature, right? You could choose between any question, right? Ask yourself the question, out of the, say, 25 people, who's walking out alive?
I'm walking out from both questions.
Okay, okay.
But I
Yeah.
would name the 3 French Montana songs first.
Can you actually? Because I absolutely cannot.
Yeah, what is it? Unforgettable. Pop that, don't stop. All the way up. Yeah, he was. No, I can name like mad fucking French songs if we're being real, but
Man.
that's just off the top of the head.
All right. Well, basically, that's my thoughts on Retro Pack 1. Yeah, like Sage said, rerunning Rage of Battle would have been great. In fact, instead of running Light of Destruction, they should have reran Raging Battle. That would have been that would have been a lot cooler. Or maybe a little more, just anything else than Retro Pack. I'm not gonna sit here for a long time.
Right.
And it was unforgettable. I was fucking.
Something that really pisses me off about that Light of Destruction rewave too is so far it's only Europe and New Zealand, Australia confirmed. Like there's 0 news on any NA distro about any of the Light of Destruction rewave, the Wave of Light structure, and EU also has Legendary Dragon decks confirmed for an Unlim rewave, whereas NA still has nothing. I check EU distro, Australian distro, and NA distro like once a week, once every other week, just to check on new products. And the Legendary Dragon decks is one that would be. It's like giga expensive for sealed, but no card in there is value except for Arc Pendulum, and that thing's like $8. Like, it makes no sense to really rewave it, but I mean, I guess that's a common trend with Retro Pack and the Blue Eye structure again, and all these other legendary decks too.
Look, Money has been always out of touch, right? You guys have to remember that they treat Yu-Gi-Oh better than a lot of their other IPs. So every time you think to yourself in this game, it can't get worse. Just know that because you thought of that, it absolutely will.
It's about to
for
get
sure.
worse. It can only get more worse from here.
And OCG just keeps getting all these sick products, man, that we'll just never see in TCG, like the Egyptian God box that they got, or that there was that one box with Zeus, Underworld Goddess, and all like 6 or 7 cover cards that came in like deck boxes and sleeves and a whole bunch of stuff that we'll just never see because they just hate us, really.
Yeah, they just don't import it.
Oh man, I just really wish we'd get some of the products that they get over there. Like it'd be really, really nice. At least we finally got a Rarity Collection, I guess, and now that we shitted out a second one 6 months later, woo.
You know, No, but that also was a Konami or OCG import that we got because they had it over there for like the longest amount of time.
Oh
So
yeah, we got their Rarity Collection 4 is our Rarity Collection
yeah,
1. They
as
had
our
3
one.
others. Like they had 3 other Rarity Collections before the one that we finally got imported. It's insane just how much better the product is over there.
And speaking of products and accessories and stuff that you can find over there, I think lastly, our last topic for tonight before I wrap us up because we almost touched in an hour here. I just wanted to make sure that we bring to everyone's attention that Konami policy has been updated as of last week. But personally, I can't tell if it's for the best or not. Earlier last week, we were given this policy letter update by Konami from their official website, and it reads as such. We will be implementing a policy for these events relating to both game mats and card sleeves. This acts as an expansion of Section L of the official tournament policy, which outlines that materials can be used by duelists taking part in our live stream feature matches. All WCQs, main event, and world qualifying point playoff participants must point A, use only plain or solid color or officially licensed Konami game mat. B, use only plain or solid color or official Konami licensed Konami or Yu-Gi-Oh sleeves. And C, if card sleeves and or game mat are provided for use during the live stream, you must use these items. The reasons we are implementing these changes are the following. For one, to reduce the time spent during the tournament checking duelist accessories. For two, to free up judges to spend less time monitoring accessories and more time providing an improved tournament experience for duelists. And for three, to ensure that we can consistently provide an experience for attendances of all ages. So, what are your guys' thoughts before I start going into it? Do you guys think this is warranted? Do you think Konami is going a little bit too far with this implement? Are they right on the money? What are you guys' thoughts before I kind of give mine?
I guess it makes sense. Like they want, it to be a more appealing environment instead of everyone having their waifu sleeves and their hentai playmats. And but something that was kind of weird, they didn't say anything about deck boxes. So anyone that has the gem accessories deck boxes, shout out to them. Like, I guess you can still run the deck box, but you
Yeah,
can't
right.
do your spell grounds. So you can't do your custom sleeves. You can't do like it's just kind of weird. I feel like it's half-assed, and they just kind of shit it out. And the thing is, I don't think there was any outcry for this either. Like I haven't heard any posts saying, "Oh, the degens are
Eh,
playing with the hentai sleeves. We can't have that."
you don't
I
see
haven't
those
heard.
posts out there, but those posts do exist, and I think card games themselves, quote unquote, get that sort of stipulation of being like lewd or sometimes inappropriate or like exaggerated with their like manga or like anime fixations and shit like that. Like I've seen some crazy shit. Do I go and report them? No, because I'm not a pussy and I know how to close my eyes or look away if I don't really care to see something. But does that mean that they don't go reported? I would say that no, I would say people do report them. Some people do like the whistle blow, and we may not have seen it, but I guarantee you, if you check a Konami email list, they probably have some in there. My my opponent has been using his tour guide feet mat for the last three locals. I guarantee it's in there, and that's
I think
probably why they implemented it.
I think the last public outcry I heard was that one gal, what was it, OCG or somewhere else, where she entered a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament and just dropped really early because of like what was it,
It was a
hygiene or
smell, yeah. It was a
yeah, I
smell.
think it was hygiene. Which use some damn soap, people. Come
Yeah,
on,
for
it ain't
real.
that hard. Like shower once a day. Like take care of yourselves
For
before you're
real.
spending $1,500 on your deck. Like spend
Spend
$4 on
$5
a
on some
bottle of
fucking
soap,
deodorant.
man.
Not even go, bro. Spray some Axe or some shit, bro. There are
A
some
good old
things you can do.
teenager shower. Yeah.
That ass, dog. What about you,
Yeah,
Santi?
it's not even that you have to smell great, by the way. Just like don't smell that bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
for real.
I
Don't smell like
get it.
shit.
You're in a room with 500 people. It's round 7 or 8. You've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh all day. You might smell a little bit. You know what? I can understand, right? But like, come on, bro.
It's like when
But
people were playing that Yu-Gi-Oh! Friendship and like spitting on their
oh my
hands.
gosh, I told you about that. Man. Anyway, so here's what I think, all right? Is so first of all, I will say I'm the opposite of Sage. I've been hearing people talk about this everywhere on what EU is doing. I've seen Yugi Twitter talk about it a lot. I've seen Zoo talk about it quite a bit. There was a few Reddit articles, but people at locals were talking about it, right? And that's kind of how you know it's more of a big deal. Is either YouTubers making videos or you actually go up to locals and people are talking about it. The biggest thing I've heard was it doesn't affect us, so it's fine. I'm telling you this right now. It's gonna come to NA eventually, right? That's kind of how it is. They're testing in Euro, and then they're gonna try to put in NA because if Euro doesn't make a fuss out of it, NA certainly will not. I hate to say, like, we'll complain and cry. Don't get me wrong, but then we're gonna move on, just like everything else. I personally hate it because it's like a lot of people will go to the loot thing first, but it's also because I think Konami is jealous and upset that people are not using their official shitty products. And I say shitty because every time there's a mat that I really, really like, usually it's a regional mat or a judge mat or a YCS mat, right? Which is fine, right? But I look at an official Konami mat that looks really cool, but it's $300-$400. I know that's not a smart choice as an adult, right? Obviously, if you want it, you can go buy it. It doesn't mean you're
Yeah.
like not mature or something, right? Please buy whatever the hell you want, right? But a lot of people don't want to do that, right? And some people, maybe they don't like the sneak peek mats. I like the Ubel one a lot. I love Phantom Nightmare. Had a great sneak peek mat. I actually do go out of my way to run that. But usually people want to go and they just want to have a One Piece mat or like a Naruto mat or a Spellground, right? It doesn't most mats that are custom aren't even inappropriate. Like before we even get into that, oh, should loot be allowed, whatever. Let's not kid ourselves and try to like steer the conversation for Konami. No, most people having a custom mat, it's not considered. Usually, they're not even in the realm of inappropriacy. They have nothing to do with say fan service or like lewd acts or anything sexual. It's like a meme one, right? I've seen people play on pizza boxes because they thought it was funny, right? Or paper towels, and like cereal boxes, right? Ramen pack, like a
Shout out
whole
to that
ramen
homie
box.
running sous ships, man.
Exactly, right? The
Yep.
people like a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh players, they want to have personality and love with their map because it comes with part of the game. Konami just killed some of the culture with their game, and they did it because they literally I'm not gonna say their ego, right? They're sick and tired of people not using their Konami licensed stuff. Is it because they want to avoid a situation in the future? Well, I'll tell you this right now because I know the older generation of Yu-Gi-Oh players, right? And like nerdy culture, right? Where lewdness and you could say hentai related stuff, whatever words you want to use for it, that was a much bigger thing back in my day. I can bet you money that someone in some top 32 of any card games, including Yu-Gi-Oh, try to go there out there with a lewd mat and they probably either said something or they allowed it, right? They've encountered this problem before, and I don't think it's to save time. I really do think that if there is the person with a lewd mat or two, it's just like, hey, don't use it or they let it there and they deal with it afterwards. One of the two. As I was saying though, if it should be okay or not, I'll be honest with you here. I am not allergic to titties, right? And I'll keep this very brief so that because I know you guys are tired of hearing my voice. Back in my day, when people found the, let's say, lewd mats cringe, they might have even said something. But when locals was over, everybody kind of just went home and ate dinner, went to bed, right? Nowadays, you have people complaining nonstop, weeks on end online. They're like, "Well, if I see this mat, I will call the judge. I'll do this. I'll do that." And it's at the point where it's like, look, bro. Even though I agree with you, the mat is cringe. You're being so much more annoying at this point that I can't even bother to care about the
You're
issue
being more
anymore.
cringe.
Exactly, right? And that was back. Remember, this is back in our day where nerdy culture was more kept in nerds. And I'm not trying to shove an opinion down people's sorts of, oh, Yu-Gi-Oh or any nerd hobby should have been kept. No, but it was a much different culture back then to now. I think nobody's gonna really debate that. And lewd mats and either like lewd accessories, that was a bigger part or more accepted part you know, of our community. Now, if you don't like it, that's completely fine. Look, I don't run it usually, right? And when I say usually, it's because I actually got a sponsor that sent me a bit of a spicy deck box that I really like. I know a lot of people give Gemtech the pass for some reason. I don't know why. Like Gemtech's lewd, but I think it's because it's tasteful, maybe. I don't know. But which by the way, please sponsor me. Um, but
Tastefully lewd sponsor.
yeah, it's just such a big deal, and then you have to also remember that nowadays things in life are way more sexual than they were back then, right? Like there's a good chance that people like even like say a kid, right? Because everyone's gonna go up and be like, well, what happens if there's a kid at the locals, right? You know, like 13 years old, right? Look, I hate to say it, but I've seen the world nowadays. It's so over sexualized that I genuinely don't think any harm is going to happen anymore, which is kind of sad in a completely different issue. So I won't get into it, but it's just, and I'm not even saying this to allow lewd mats or not allow them or whatever. It's just something I kind of think about. And I'll leave it there.
No, I can see what you're talking about, where it's like, no, I wouldn't say part of the culture, but like it's definitely been around for so long that you should view it as insignificant and look away from it. I don't know. The way I look at it is this: this is America, and if you don't like it, you can just get out or
The
whatever that South
gooners are
Park
gonna
guy said.
goon, man. Gooners are gonna goon, no matter
do
what
I
hobby they're
do
in.
I like it? No, because I agree with Saki. It does restrict a lot of the creativity from players when you. Konami did put a lot of the, I guess, freedom in a lot of the players' hands by allowing them, but even before this, or even now in North America, to have their own creative ways and be able to display and, I would say, play with and use whatever materials you want and be as creative and outward as you want, like with whatever. But that comes with limits, and sometimes you give it people an inch and they want to take a mile. I understand that there, out of 10 people, one or two of them might have a bad or a cringe-worthy mat, but that doesn't take away from the 8 people who did, you know, everything right. They made
Fully
sure that it
agree.
was a good mat. You know what I'm saying? They liked it. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that it should outweigh enough to be able to strip it away from everyone, because Konami doesn't. They do have some good mats. I'm not gonna lie, but for the most part, they don't have banger mats all the time. So you're telling me if I can go make a banger mat to me, the way I envision it, the way I like it, if it's a meme or if it's just for real versus my favorite card or something like that, just what if my favorite card is Celtic Guardian? What if because there are no Celtic Guardian uh, mats out there? So what am I supposed to do if I want to play my favorite card and there's nothing out there that you don't make it? Are you going to start making custom made Konami official mats for everyone, or am I just shit out of luck? Is that what you're telling me? You know what I'm saying? Because the freedom is kind of gone now, is what I'm kind of understanding.
That means
Oh.
Konami, you need to print me a Plunder Patrol official Konami mat once we get Plunder Patrol ship Vind. Like, it needs to happen, man. I really need one. And if
That
they're
actually
not
would
gonna
be
let me,
really cool.
dude, like if they're not gonna let me play with a custom Plunder mat, that I was literally planning on ordering one like probably June, July, and now I'm like, we'll just not do that. We'll just not waste that money. No
Yeah,
point.
they're probably offended that people probably use Magic the Gathering mats too. It's like really funny to me.
Right, dude. And it's just kind of wild because the Konami mats are all like stitched rubber or whatever the hell material they are. They're not the cloth ones. And a lot of people really do prefer the way that the cloth feels when they're
Oh, 100%. I'm bougie as fuck, and I do like, I prefer, if anything, cloth
One
over
more thing about cloth
rubber.
very quickly is with cloth, it's harder for your sleeves to catch on them, preventing
Yep.
damage. So that can also help with cards as well. That's a big thing about cloth, and that's why a lot of people like spell grounds. I like cloth. I'm just not the biggest fan of spell grounds, but to be honest with you here, as long as you're not a bamboon, you can probably run a rubber mat, no problem. I've always ran rubber mats, and they've been fine for me personally.
Yeah, they are fine. I don't think there's anything quite like a feel of a nice card, graveyard fan on a cloth mat. It just feels so, uh, ASMR for real. But with that being said, guys, we are starting to run out of life points. This has been a long one for you guys. I wanted to give you guys something special and new as we come back into the regular rotation of things. Just a reminder of all the sponsored content. Be sure to go check that Linktree link down below. Follow all of our sites. We're going to be making sure we're checking up on there regularly. And that's making sure that the local legends and the perfect pulls are back on schedule for Sunday and Wednesday, respectively. So be sure to go check those out on all of our social sites as they'll be all synced up on the same day. You can be sure to go check out our sponsors because we'll be sending out shout outs to Vengeful Shadows. We are going to be sending out this box of Legacy Destruction to him for his giveaway for his channel, courtesy of Unplugged Gaming. So go check out their Discord server in the description box below down as well. And then once again, Brad, aka Mr. Perfect, will be streaming on Twitch every Saturday night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, by the way. So you can catch him on his Twitch, which is also in our Linktree link. Basically doing all playtesting, basically chatting with you guys, having a good old time. So be sure that you interact with him. So that way this week, when we talk about the Friday night wrap up, we'll be sure to get you guys listed in there. Also, before we guys close out, we just want to thank our guests for coming on and donating their time to the cause, especially Sage for being our first guest, I guess new guest coming on and popping his cherry with the podcast. So we hope to have him on many more times. But is there any little last minute shout outs or mentions, final thoughts on the shows that you guys got before we wrap this thing up?
Yeah, I want to say first, thanks for having me on. It's been really fun. I've been a long-time listener. I was one of the 40 people who had the semi-limited podcast in their top podcast of 2023. So it's fun being on this side of things for once. Also, I want to give a shout out to Mr. Saki and Mr. J. I've been working with them in the background for, oh god, like a year and a half, helping them out with content ideas and tech help and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Especially tech help.
Oh man, Jay messing up the cropping on the cams all the time, man.
Bro, me and Fresh
Oh,
are too old for this like new
right,
style of
dude.
YouTube, man. We need someone young and fresh like Sage.
And I've been around doing this stuff since 2016, so it only makes sense. Yeah, again, I have a big Whatnot show coming up this weekend, so if you guys want to follow me there and bookmark that show, that'd be greatly appreciated. And check out at SageKillaYGO on YouTube. I want to put out like 2 to 3 videos a week, and we're sitting at almost 100 subs. I think last I checked we were at 97, so we may have to do something special for hitting 100.
100%. Maybe we can get you hooked up. I'll try to see if we can maybe send something out there so that way you can do like a giveaway or something like that at 100 and make sure that you can give a subscriber or a supporter of your channel something back so that way they can get rewarded for enjoying such good content coming from you.
Hell yeah.
And how about you, Saki? Any last minute shout outs, mentions, final thoughts, anything like that?
All right, so shout out to Team Sakurazo for being awesome.
True.
I'm just playing. Thanks for having me on, man. It's always fun to be on these. I know I've been MI for a little while, so I actually want to be on the Semi-Lim podcast a little more this year, starting now. Shouts to Sage for helping us out in the background. Shouts to Fresh Off the Press. Great friend, rival, fellow Yugi tuber, all that.
With that being said, we are all out of life points, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Can't wait to get back into the swing of things, and I'm glad that you guys have stuck around, and I appreciate all the support and wellness checks. So thank you so much for that, guys. Until next week, we will see you guys soon. Thank you so very much, and good night.